You got knocked the fuck out.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Today it was announced that HBO is leaving the boxing business. After more than 45 years of showcasing boxing, pay-per-view events, hundreds of fighters, HBO is exiting boxing. I knew this day was coming. I knew after the Canelo Triple G fight, there wasn't really anyone there at HBO. And another question is, where does Canelo go? Does Canelo do his own pay-per-views? Does he sign with DAZN, ESPN, Showtime, or PBC? That'll be interesting to figure out. But anyway, HBO brought this on themselves. I don't know who's head of their marketing or what their marketing strategy was, but it was plain to see that the last 10 to 12 years, HBO has taken on this narrative of, showcasing European talent, not focusing on their homegrown American talent. And when they did have American stars, the commentators would downplay the American stars, especially black fighters. I'm going to just put it out there. HBO in the past 5 to 10 years have had a sort of racist undertone to its promotions. They made European fighters the mainstay and the cash cow of their promotional company of the network. The biggest face that they had was Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, and then they had Lomachenko, and the list goes on. Sergey Kovalev. Even when they had the Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward. Andre Ward was a Olympic gold medalist for America, for the U.S., and also announcing colleague. He was doing broadcasts with these guys, and he'd get in the ring, and they'd be like, Kovalev hits him with the hardest punches of the fight. Kovalev, I have him winning on my scorecard. And Harold Letterman and Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman. I mean, I don't know. It just was a slow winding road. I knew it was coming to an end once Floyd Mayweather decided to go with Showtime, and he signed a 6-fight deal with Showtime, making him the highest paid athlete at the time. And a lot of the fighters never liked Larry Merchant. Mike Tyson wanted Merchant off of the network back in the day. Floyd Mayweather wanted Merchant off. They had their skirmish on the pay-per-view when I think he fought Victor Ortiz or something like that. Yeah, it's a lot of bias when it comes to HBO, and unfortunately, after a long history of boxing, it just comes to an end. So, I read the article because this news leaked out in a couple of newspapers, and a couple other outlets got it. But yeah, that's basically what it is. They were showcasing European talent and ignoring their homegrown talent, like they didn't have a Terrence Crawford, or Andre Ward, or a Deontay Wilder. I think Jim Lampley referred to Deontay Wilder as like black hype. Black hype. So, it definitely had a racist undertone to it. Their biggest star for years was Manny Pacquiao. They used to shit on Floyd Mayweather, saying that his fights were boring, he was too technical, and they praised Manny. And, Manny's a great fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him, but this is what they were doing, especially to black fighters. They were just alienating them, and they weren't getting promoted properly. And a lot of guys left. When Floyd left and went with Showtime, him and Al Heyman got a lot of these fighters, And now Showtime is thriving. And they're showcasing American boxers to the American public, as it should be. No disrespect to the European fighters. There's some great fighters out there, Loma, Triple G. But, it has to be a balance. It has to be a fair game. And HBO wasn't playing a fair game for a while. And, Jim Lampley was very biased in his opinions on air, and Larry Merchant didn't really know anything about boxing, so I didn't know how he was there. And Max Kellerman started out decently. Max is okay, but at the end there, it looked like all his opinions were like based on what Jim Lampley was saying. He was kind of trying to piggyback off what Lampley was doing on air. And the public saw that, and you can't sell European fighters to the American public constantly while bashing the American fighters in front of the American public. That's not going to work. You're not going to get ratings. And I think the Canelo Triple G number 2 fight a couple weeks ago, I think HBO guy said it did 350,000 pay-per-view buys or whatnot, and they said that wasn't sufficient enough to keep the boxing program. So he also said he didn't rule out doing like a boxing event every so often for the network or whatnot. But it's a wrap. It's a wrap for HBO. It was a long time coming. The promotion definitely had a racist undertone. Like, they never spoke highly about any black fighter. None. you know, the last black fighter to really get props from HBO was Evander Holyfield, and he's been, out of the scene for years. Andre Ward, undefeated, champion, Olympic gold medalist, they shitted on him. And he was a colleague of theirs calling fights with them. He was calling fights with them on the broadcast. And then he'd go in the ring and they'd shit on him. Same thing with Roy Jones Jr. I remember when Roy Jones would fight guys and they'd be like, oh, why is Roy fighting this guy? It's a waste of his time. And I'm like, damn, this guy does broadcast with you guys and you're shitting on him. Personally, I like Roy Jones Jr. He's great. He was the best guy that they had on the broadcast. Roy Jones and Paulie Malignaggi, to me, are 2 guys who are very good, commentators. They're very good. Paulie and Roy will tell you how it is with some good insight. But I'm not going to keep this too long, but it's the end of an era. HBO is leaving the boxing business. And that's really about it. Because I think the biggest hit was Mayweather leaving. And then the second biggest hit was when Top Rank left last year. When Bob Arum took all his fighters in his stable and he went to ESPN. And they're fighting off that ESPN app. Top Rank, they're with ESPN. Eddie Hearn has the DAZN thing going. So he has a stable of fighters. PBC and Al Heyman have their stable. Mayweather Promotions has their stable. Golden Boy has Canelo and a couple other Hispanic fighters that are doing their thing. So, HBO just got left. They got left. They weren't keeping up with the times. And, nowadays you could watch fights on Facebook Live, So, it is what it is. You definitely have to adapt, but I think the main reason the public didn't gravitate towards HBO anymore is because the commentators would shit on American fighters, and you can't do that. We live in America. You act like Terrence Crawford isn't a pound-for-pound great. He's from Nebraska. He sells out in Nebraska. He's a great fighter. You act like Errol Spence isn't a great fighter. Deontay Wilder, he's a great fighter. Knockout artist. Andre Ward, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. We've had some good fighters in the past 20 years. Of course, Mayweather. Bernard Hopkins, another guy who used to do broadcasting with them and commentating. And then when he'd go in the ring, they'd shit on him. Sergey Kovalev is the best light heavyweight. He's the crusher. Triple G, he's probably the best middleweight of all time. He has the most power. I'm like, what? Who has Triple G fought? He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I respect him. He's very good at what he does. He's a good fighter. I respect Triple G, but he's not Marvin Hagler. He's not Marvin Hagler. So HBO is done with boxing, and it's the end of an era, man. So I remember growing up, and my first when I was a kid, I used to watch Mike Tyson fight on HBO. He used to come out in those black travel foxes with no socks on, with the half moon part in his head. It's a thing of beauty, But yeah, man, it's the end of an era now. So But like I said, HBO brought this on to themselves. They promoted Manny Pacquiao, and that was cool because I like Pacquiao. He's a great fighter. He's a Hall of Famer. But they just forgot to promote their American homegrown talent. America's amateur program stinks, and the Europeans are way ahead of us. And, American people don't want to hear that. You know, they don't want to hear that. And Showtime has more of a balance. They have fighters from all over the world: European, Caribbean, Hispanic, Black. So it's fair game over there. So that's why they're thriving. ESPN, along with Top Rank, they're doing their thing over there. And the Zone, Eddie Hearn is signing everybody. Eddie Hearn is signing anybody who he can get a hold of. You know. So that's basically the gist of it. HBO's done. I knew it was over after Kovalev lost 3 times. Uh, I think he lost 3 times in a row and he got knocked out. Canelo, his contract was up after the Triple G fight, so he's going to be a free agent. Triple G's getting older and slower. So yeah, it was a wrap, man. And Bob Arum took his stable from HBO. He took the promotion. Like, he took his fighters: Lomachenko, Terrence Crawford, Pedraza. A lot of these guys that Bob Arum had, they're over at ESPN now. So it is what it is. 45 years of boxing, and that's it, man. It's over. So like and subscribe, comment, tell me what you think. Get at me, hit the bell icon, and get notified. Stay in tune with Play to Win Boxing, man. I'm Trevor Monroe. I'm out. Peace.